The shuffle hit me with the country this morning. Right here, dreaming in my bed. Hey, look, I love country music. Okay, grew up with that shit. So what I was thinking was about just the inner teacher, right? Because I feel like a lot of us, and I mean myself included, I love going outside of myself to find information, right? So I'm looking through books, I'm on YouTube, I'm on all these different things. And yeah, you do expand your knowledge, you know, and things that come to you in the form of information, a lot of the times you're prepared to receive it, right? So, but this is all like a memory game, you know, this is working with the mind. And I feel like sometimes I hesitate to say things because everybody got a process they got to go through, right? So it's like, I can't teach you better than your inner teacher can teach you. And that's really what we're trying to do with humanity, is accept the truth that's in here, right? It's this part of you got all the answers. This part of you is your access to joy, your access to divinity, right? And that's your teacher. And it's like, how do we connect with that part of us, right? How do we intensify that relationship? And I feel like it's through trial and error. So if you're listening to yourself is always going to give you good information. A lot of the times, though, we're not listening. So we have to go through the experiences, whether they be hard or easy, depending on our own judgment of them. And that's how we get to see, you know, what really works and what doesn't work for us, you know? And for me, I know that, like, the hardest thing had been really telling the truth, like telling my truth and speaking the truth to others, even when it's uncomfortable. And I mean that in relationship, and I mean that in, like, you know, not hiding who you are. Because I realized that, like, you know, being empathetic and just being aware, it kind of like I like to call it like a compassion compass. So when you get into a relationship or you get into an experience with somebody else or just a conversation, a compassion compass is like, I'm already seeing the best parts of you. You know what I'm saying? I'm already navigating those waters. And so sometimes it's like you can see the sensitivity in someone else. And so it's like, how can I deliver this truth without hurting your feelings? But that stage is kind of over for us. Like we can't be like tiptoeing on eggshells with other people no more. And it's not about like, you know, I'm out to crush you or whatever. But like when we deliver a truth that's really our truth, and we deliver it in the most compassionate, kind way that we possibly can, even if we get a blowback, the end result is going to be power for us. It's like a charge, right? Because now you trust yourself. And this is going into the inner teacher. In order to bring forth the inner teacher, we have to trust that our moves and our the way that we express ourselves is our truth. So trust and truth is the inner teacher. It's weird. I don't know why, but I lost my breath. Like a shortage of breath. Like I got excited all of a sudden. That's interesting. So I guess this was like on my mind because I feel like, you know, there's nothing that you can tell anybody, even when people ask you for advice. Because like people do that to me a lot. They're like, oh, what about, you know, with health? Like, what should I be eating? You know, how should I go about this? What kind of workouts? There's a lot of keys, you know what I mean? There's a lot of gems, a lot of jewels, a lot of things that I know that work. But they work for me because I put them in practice. They work for me because I looked at the knowledge and then I did an experiment with the knowledge. And that's all we're doing is we're not out here to change the fucking world. Like, you're not going to change the world. The world is just fine how it is. It's about how we see the world, how we participate in the world. It's all about our perception. So with knowledge, right, when we go and we read something and it resonates as true, and then we have the courage to step up and try out the knowledge, to actualize what we've been looking at. When we have that kind of courage, then we can see results because we've believed what we've just received from the information. So if I tell you, look, first thing in the morning, before you eat, go and work out, sweat. It's gonna do this for you, you know? Unless you believe that, it's not gonna work. Unless you do you gotta go do your own research. You can't just take my word for it. I mean, maybe some of us have superpowers where you can just hear somebody say something and you're just on board. But I wasn't raised, not that I wasn't raised like that. I just never believed that. I had to get in and understand it fully. Like, why? Like, why would sweating first thing in the morning work? Oh, well, okay, my stomach's on a fast. I haven't released any insulin yet. Oh, okay, so the fat storage that's in my liver, the glycogen is gonna burn first. Okay, that's gonna speed up my metabolism. Okay, boom. That makes more sense. But that's not something that you can just regurgitate and bloop. Okay, yeah, okay, cool, yeah. Nah, go do the research. Like, we're in a time where we have to start understanding, like, the physical. This is a vessel. This thing works great for us. And when we start to look into it, like, okay, yeah, I gotta go through my physical body, and then I'm gonna be able to access levels of my mental body that I wasn't able to access before because I cleared up the blockages that were stuck in the physical body. There's a lot of poison and shit in your body that's still stuck in there, and it's stuck with emotions. And this is a crazy thing because think about what trauma actually does to us, right? Like, what happens when we get scared, okay? First things happen when we get scared. The mind says, holy shit, we're uncomfortable, we're unsure, this is scary, okay? And then what happens? The breath. Now you lose control of your breath because now the heartbeat's speeding up. Now we need more oxygen to the body because now we're in fight or flight, right? We got adrenaline running through us. And then what happens? Boom, your muscles tighten up. Boom, you're locking in emotion in the muscle structure. That's why a lot of us ain't flexible. That shit could be generations though back. That generational karma, that trauma, that shit been stuck in there, and that shit passes down. And that's what cleaning out the physical body actually helps release. It's like, okay, wow, what my body is gonna burn once I get to a detox level, once I get to clearing out the glycogen in the liver, my body is gonna start burning this storage. But this storage is also equipped because the cells have memory. Those cells, that energy, that still has the memory of trauma locked in it. So a lot of times that's why detox is so emotional, because you go through that shit and you literally feel like you fucking dying, but you are. There's a lot of parts of you that are dying, and you can get to the point where you like, you know what? That shit brings up so much courage because you're doing something for yourself and you've let go. You know what I mean? Because healing the body is very important, but it has to be at your own pace, and it has to be at your inner teacher is going to help heal your body. Like, I can't do nothing for it. I can only give you information. But here, like, if this tells you something, this is number one. This is always going to reign over everything else, over anybody else. And this is where your energy, this is where you should be spending your energy, in here. I hope this don't cut out because sometimes this area gets fucked up. But that's what I've learned, like, because it's hard because we go about things with so much judgment. Right? And even when we get into these places where we are healing, a lot of times, like, I've experienced the judgment. So it was like I had one diet that had me on a certain level of thinking, because food will do that to you, and consumption will do that to you. The more pure your consumption becomes, the more pure your thought process comes. And sometimes it's hard to connect back to the world because you in like la la land. And now coming back to this place, trying to find balance and understanding that, like, for me to be in the world, that's where, like, my art materials are, right? That's like where I gotta go get my paint and shit, my brushes, my canvases. Like, I can't just experience life from this point of just serenity and just bliss, right? There still has to be like pulling from the darkest places of ourselves to create. And that shit is beautiful, because then we're embracing both sides of ourselves and acknowledging that that is what the world created, and that is what this shit is made of, is both. and there ain't nothing to hide from. And I feel like that's what, when we take on that responsibility of cleaning out our bodies so that we can access these places within ourselves that maybe lie dormant, that maybe we're not so conscious of, right? Once we unlock that, then it's like, okay, good. Now I have everything on a platter. Now I can and I can scatter it out and see what kind of materials I'm working with here. And now, after all of that, after this whole balancing process, now I can manifest differently because I'm accepting both sides of myself. And I'm seeing it. That's that third eye activation, in a sense. Because a lot of the times people, they speak about the third eye, but what actually is it? What are we doing when we're activating our third eye? We're releasing judgment. That's all we're doing. Because left and right brain, right? That's judgment. We got black and we got white. But what does the third eye do? Like puts it together. It's the truth is the gray. Oh, the truth is the middle. Oh, the truth is that it's all one thing. Oh, okay. Activation. But that's hard to do because it's not just like you activate the shit and you're good. No. This is an ongoing process. This is a workout, a constant workout. It's like you don't just get up and pump weights and get buff. No, every single day, or every other day, or however your schedule goes, but you're working on something. It's like it's a goal that don't have a destination, because they're not reaching no destination here. This is an ongoing thing. Everything is infinite. It's forever expanding. I was thinking the other day about like the heart and the brain, right? Like, you ever think, like, before the separation occurred, the heart and the brain were probably one thing. So once they separated, it's like they're old lovers, right? I wrote a poem about it. But it's like you got these two lovers, right? They forever in love. But when they become disconnected, we experience friction within our reality, right? But when they sync back up, like, the one thing the brain want to do is witness the joy of the heart, right? And it's like the heart, when we move with our heart space, when we can feel things and we experience them, like you can't know, right? You can't know without the experience. I can't describe to you what the ocean feel like if you've never been to the ocean. I can't even describe to you the love. You know what I mean? I can't describe divine love unless I've experienced divine love. Unless I've been a witness to divine love. That's how I be feeling. Like, like the heart just want to dance and the mind just want to watch it. The mind really lives to watch the heart dance in life and experience this shit on steroids, because it gets to pay attention. And a lot of the times, it's like, if you're living in a place where you're not being conscious of things, you're not accepting or even enjoying the experience of what the heart actually goes through. And a lot of the times the mind gets in the way because it's the judgment, right? It's like, if your mind is disconnected, you experience a lot of judgment, and the mind likes to judge the heart, when they're not in sync. And it's like, oh, this is a good experience, this is a bad experience. But when they come together, wow, how great it is to be awake to the feeling that, my heart can break, and it can break open. Because that's what experience do to us. You know what I'm saying? When we're heartbroken, when we're sad, when we get our feelings hurt, all that shit is just ripping your chest open. And it's okay, because you're literally expanding the capacity for your heart. You know what I'm saying? You're expanding the level of love that you can receive. And that's what heartbreak does for us. Because again, heartbreak is only in our mind. It's a perception, right? It's a judgment. But that's what it's like, a training ground out here. And that's what we doing. We training. We always in training. And this is your trainer. It's very like, I don't know, like, I be excited for it, and but I also experience the lows and the darknesses. And I don't think there's nothing wrong with it, because like the other day when I was painting, even, I always have to paint the shadow first, right? And all the paintings go through the same process of like a darkness. And I could see it. I could see all the darkness that I creatively released. And it's like, that's the point where you get to that breaking point where you're like, I don't want to continue, man. This shit looks dark. But then what happened? We start putting the light on top of the darkness. And that's what gives you that 3D effect, is when you start to shade in the light. It's like, man, that shit is so cool to bear witness to all the metaphors in life. All the metaphors in our daily life. It's like every time we do anything, if we're paying attention, if we're in here, if we can feel our chest expand, if we can feel our heartbeat, man, you're connected. You're in the game. Like, that's literally, okay, grounding is literally feeling your feet on the ground, feeling your ass in the seat, feeling your breath, feeling your heartbeat. Anything that you do in association with the body is a grounding motion. When we pay attention, we're grounding with the earth. It's like an instant reset. So if your emotions catch you and you going on a ride, what do you got to do? Feel your feet on the ground. Boom. It's like with kids. Kids get all crazy and then you change the subject on them and they like, what just happened? What did she just say? It's the same thing with us, only we're our own disciplinaries. And that's a beautiful thing too. Like, discipline, come on, you have to have discipline in order to grow in life. And so that means you have to hold yourself accountable to the things that you want, the motions that are going to create the things that you want, right? Because the things we want, they're not out of reach, but a lot of the times we convince ourselves that they're out of reach. Because I can't do it, but you can do it. Nah. What one man can do, another man can do. And that means that all the gifts you've ever witnessed in life coming out of a human being, you actually do have access to. But it's not that easy, right? Because it sounds good, but nothing is ever that easy. And in this lifetime and next lifetime, if time is all irrelevant, maybe we will experience that. Or maybe we can cultivate it now. But the levels of discipline that are necessary to do that, most people don't have the courage. They don't have the will. And I hate to say they, because that's not, it's us. We don't have the will sometimes. But we can cultivate that with discipline. If you're strong enough to keep yourself in check, you can have anything you want. That's how people get successful. That's why people have billions of dollars. They were able to repeat a behavior that allowed them to grow every day. And that's where relationships do the same thing for us. That's why relationships are such a blessing. It's like a relationship is going to allow you to grow. And that's why the ones that are so important to us, those are the ones that pushed us. Even if they was hard, they pushed us to grow. So, anyway, that was my rant for the day, I suppose. Driving in the car. I'm so happy my shit didn't cut off, because it always cuts off right when I go down that hill. Anyway, hump day. There was a lunar eclipse last night. That moon was so pretty. Oh my God. It's so pretty. But I just think that stuff is so cool. Like, looking at the stars. Man, the stars are amazing. Makes me want to go camping. Because once you go camping and you see like the billions, that's a whole nother level. You're like, oh shit, there's a billion stars out here and I can only see 5 from the crib because I'm in the city. At least we can see the moon though, right? Alright, so I'm out of here. See you guys later.